The New York Times actually did some pretty good reporting here. They spoke to a bunch of non-Americans about the American healthcare system, and their reactions are priceless. This video is a little long, but I want to show you, this is almost all of it. I think the full clip is 6 minutes. I'm showing you about 5 minutes of the 6 minutes, but it's well worth it. Take a look.
If healthcare is a constitutional right, then
that's a form of communism because no country could afford those payments without seizing the assets of everybody else.
Welcome to Finland!
Oh!
Dudes, what's going on? Oh my god!
It's making me so mad.
I mean, come on, guys. It's not that hard. Look around the world. Everyone else seems to have figured it out, right? Imagine you're in America. Which of these options would be best for you?
That's a lot to think about.
What is an OOP max?
I guess with what I got here, I would go with Plan D because the deductible is 0.
Okay, there's more.
Gold, HMO, PPO, HMO.
And what are copays? I don't get... That's like if you pay for Spotify Premium and Spotify still makes you pay every time you listen to a song.
It's too complicated.
I'm lost. I'm so lost.
In Canada, I don't have to really think about the different plans that I could pick from.
You just pay one amount per month and all the major treatments are covered.
At least 70% of our medical expenses are always covered.
Uninsured, unable to afford treatment for a tooth infection that keeps flaring up. Cook Emma Rittner lost her job in March.
I did manage to get antibiotics from a friend whose mom regularly goes down to Mexico, and I've been taking that, self-medicating, based off of Dr. Google's advice.
Dr. Google's advice.
Here in Japan, even if you lose a job, you would never lose your health insurance.
When you lose your job, that's when society should help you.
I've chosen a creative job and had the backing of a healthcare system. But if you don't have that, do you pick the safe job or do you pick the creative job?
The average price per unit for insulin in 2018, Germany $11.
Canada's $12. Wow. It's like 8 times the price of insulin in Canada. I guess that explains why Americans come up to Canada to buy medication.
I'm sorry, hold on. So the FDA doesn't have any authority over the prices?
We have also privatized health insurance companies in Germany, but the prices are regulated by the government.
The government negotiates the prices and fixes that price for 2 years.
In Singapore, they regulate this stuff to keep the prices down and, avoid like this happening.
Right, so I'm looking at an American medical bill.
Why is it so expensive?
$428,000 for rooms and such empty spaces. What?
Much cheaper to go Hilton Hotel than this one.
Skin to skin after C-section is $39.
I had to pay $39.35 to hold my baby after he was born. You need to pay money to hold a baby?
When Alec turned 26, he was no longer allowed on his mother's insurance plan. Instead, he decided to pay for his insulin over the counter at list price. But the pharmacist told him a month's supply would be $1,300. He left empty-handed. Alec's official cause of death was diabetic ketoacidosis.
A couple of years ago, I developed a heart condition, and I had to have my heart restarted 3 times. After the third time I had it restarted, the doctor suggested I get heart surgery.
When I was 13, I started to get sick and really, really sick. I was then very quickly admitted into hospital, where after 3 weeks, I had treatment for a brain virus.
The cost of the operation, I think, is about $60,000. And then the next day, when I left the hospital and I got my bill, it was a bill for parking. It was about $30.
I was treated by royal doctors, had several MRIs, lumbar punctures, all for free.
So I was pretty happy that I lived in Canada and had universal health care.
I couldn't have survived if I was in America.
To know that I can get sick, I can get injured, but I will still be taken care of. That is freedom. This is not freedom.
There you have it. That last point I actually think is pretty poignant. There is an argument about what constitutes freedom and what doesn't. And, you know, the right argues the left is against freedom and you can't have these things provided by the state. They make ridiculous arguments about how you're forcing doctors to do certain things, and that means doctors are slaves under a universal healthcare system. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But this last point that this guy makes, I totally agree with him. I think that there's an argument you can't be free unless you have your basic needs met. So society has the ability to provide the bare minimums, to provide a reasonable floor. And that's not a lot to ask for. If you say in a developed country, you should have food, you should have a roof over your head, you should have healthcare, education, all of those things just make it so that you have a shot to make it. All of those things provide a floor which gives you the opportunity to then partake in a nominal meritocracy. And if you don't have those things, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And there is no equal opportunity. It's just absolute chaos and mayhem. And some people being born on third and thinking they hit a triple, and some people are born not even on the field. They're born not even in the stadium. And so, yes, I would argue that when you have something like universal healthcare, that actually increases freedom, doesn't decrease it. And you saw all these people were reacting in horror to the U.S. healthcare system. I think videos like this are so important because people don't know, especially the younger people are. Older people definitely don't know this either, so scratch that, the last thing I just said. But I remember the first time I learned about the way the healthcare systems around the world work and how we're the only developed country that doesn't have one version or another of a universal healthcare system. And I was shocked. I was stunned. And this is really educational and informational. I think it's really, really important for people to see this. There are so many ways in which Americans are screwed that their counterparts in the rest of the developed world are not. Another one is vacation time that comes to mind. In basically every developed country on Earth, in fact, I think it's all developed countries on Earth except the United States, they have paid vacation time by law. So, you take a job and on day one, as part of whatever your contract is, the government guarantees 5 weeks paid vacation by law. That's one example. Some places it's more, some places it's less. Here in the U.S., we have 0 paid vacation days by law. If you happen to get any paid vacation time, it's just because your employer offers it. But of course, many employers do not offer that in the United States of America. Paid maternity leave is another thing. Every other developed country has it. We don't have it. Universal healthcare, what we're talking about now. There are just so many ways in which regular people get hosed in this country. And remember, you pay taxes. You pay taxes. So shouldn't your money go towards things that you would like it to go towards? Instead of your tax dollars going to bail out Wall Street, instead of your tax dollars going to endless war, wouldn't you like it if your tax dollars went towards paid vacation time or health care? And, we pay more than the rest of the developed world and get worse outcomes. There's another part of this that you didn't see where they talk about the average lifespan in all these various countries, and we're on the lower end of the developed countries. So you pay all this extra money to get worse health care, have fewer people covered, and you die earlier anyway. I mean, the system's a joke. I've brought it up before, but there's this Commonwealth Fund study that came out a few years ago. I think they do the study every couple of years. The United States healthcare system ranked 11th out of 11 that they studied. 11th out of 11. Then there's the other one, the World Health Organization study, for example. World Health Organization study, this one's old, is from 2000. That had us ranked number 37 in the world when it comes to healthcare. So no matter how you slice it or dice it, no matter how you empirically measure it, we're abysmal on this front. And I've called the U.S. healthcare system a scam within a scam on top of a scam. Everybody's scamming everybody. Big Pharma's scamming people. The health insurance companies are scamming people. The healthcare companies are scamming people. The hospitals are scamming people. Everybody's scamming people. We've covered stories on this show about somebody going to the hospital, getting a bill afterwards, and the bill charged them a couple $100 for something called a cough suppressant aid. They inquired about that. Turns out they were charged a couple $100 because they used a tissue. Cough suppressant aid, and they were price gouged and billed hundreds of dollars. This is our system. That one little story explains our system perfectly. It shows you that there's a bunch of greedy sharks profiting off of people's pain and misery. And you saw the stat that was on the screen there, 66%. 66% of bankruptcies are medical related in this country, when medical bankruptcies are just not a thing in other developed countries. It's not a concept that exists because you get sick, you get help, and it's paid for with tax dollars. So it's crazy that we're still debating this. And then, of course, the saddest part of all is that we have a Democratic president who said, yeah, I'd veto Medicare for all if it got to my desk. He implied that. And we have a left flank of the Democratic Party that we're putting there to fight for things like single-payer Medicare for all. And they're not. They're not doing it. So even the left flank of the left party in this country has abandoned the real fight. And that should massively depress you. That should massively depress you. Because you look at the reaction of people around the world to our system, and you realize we're a laughing stock, we're a joke. And if you're not doing everything you possibly can to get us to the place where we have a single-payer Medicare for all system, it's hard to conclude anything other than you're part of the problem.